in the center. I can't let you take all the credit for that one.
Yes, exactly. All right. Let's give the girls a couple of minutes to jump on with us before we start totally rambling.
I'm enjoying the animal scene behind you.
Oh my God, the room I am in. Seriously. It is like that the whole way around my entire room. And I've only got 3 walls and the other wall is a curtain. So currently whoever else is in the house is having to be kept awake by me doing this live. So they'll survive. Oh, good. Where is everyone? Come and play with us.
Hello.
Hey. Where are you all? We're being a bit shy this evening. Oh, there's someone, or is that just you? It comes up
yeah, I'm watching it. I think it's me.
It's
Arcadia.
Arcadia.
Hi, Arcadia.
And Ashley, hello.
Hi, Ashley.
Welcome. Excellent.
There's probably a bit of a delay going on there. Often is with Facebook Live. So.
Yeah, quite possibly where I'm staying is like in rural New Zealand, like in the middle of nowhere. Look, there's love hearts, there's people. That's kind of exciting. Oh. Ashley, you're battling with your internet, so am I with mine. And Arcadia's waiting for her egg to boil. Okay.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all there?
Exactly. That's like, I think, the best comment I've ever had. Okay, so I'm just going to assume then that I do have a bit of a delay going on here because of my internet. So as if anyone else is on, can you please just comment and say hello so that we know that you're on? Otherwise, I'm just going to start rabbiting on and introducing our awesome guest. As you can see, we're both in bed. This is our first date and we're already both in bed. We've done well. So
what a better way to start.
Really. Yeah, I know. It's totally perfect. Even if I do have animals in the back of my bed. So those of you who don't know, this is the epically amazing, very talented Fleassy, and I'm super excited to be chatting to her. We just had a quick little kind of 10-minute chat before jumping onto this live, and there's some really beautiful correlations and connections between the work that we do. So I think this chat is going to be super interesting. I actually feel like, Fleassy, with the way you kind of talked about what you do, I would love for you to kind of introduce yourself, which is not how I would usually do it, but I really just loved the way you spoke and the way you explained what it is that you do. So if you would share with the women who you are and what you do, that would be amazing.
I'm very happy to. So my name is Fleassy Malay, and I guess I've identified, that's a term we use a lot these days, isn't it? I've identified as being a spoken word artist for the last, say, 11, 12 years. But for the last 5 years, I've been dedicated to supporting the rise of women's voices. So through spoken word, through public speaking, and through embodiment practices, helping women get out of their own way, let themselves be seen. So a lot of my work is really about stripping away the masks, stripping away the places that we hide ourselves, that we apologize for our existence. In every single day, in the tiny things that we do, the way that we use our voice, the way that we hold our body, and really supporting women to step into themselves. And it's not, I think a lot of people who work with public speaking training, they like to give techniques on how to come across, as how to engage an audience. And what I like to do is actually to not give those techniques. I don't want to teach you how to appear confident. What I want to do is help you feel safe enough to be yourself in front of people. To give you permission to just absolutely let yourself be seen, and know that the best way to create a massive impact on the world and on your audiences, and by audience I mean public speaking is speaking to anybody other than yourself, and often speaking to yourself as well. So when I say audience, I'm really talking about anyone that you're talking to. The best way to make an impact is to we well is starved of connection, and we spend a lot of our time trying to connect, but actually we have been brought up, especially as women, with a million zillion squillion different ways to sabotage connection, not show up, to hide ourselves, to keep ourselves safe, and that's not helping. It's not, a lot of the time. So I'm about stripping that stuff back and really letting ourselves rise and show up with as much strength and embodiment as we can.
Wow. I love it. I really, so there's two things that I want to share. One is, like, as you speak, some feedback that I want to give that will be really beautiful for the women to tap into themselves, as well as, like, I actually feel you. So my body is really sensitive, so I can kind of feel people if they're connected into what they speak or if they don't. And it's like, as you speak, I feel you in my body. So it's like, and the other piece is, like, I really see such a beautiful, like I said, such a beautiful connection to the work that both of us are doing, and approaching it from different ways, yet a lot of similarities that I'm really loving, that I'm looking forward to bringing into this space. But that piece about, like, me being able to feel you, to me, shows that, like, you're dropping into your body as you speak. So I'm wondering if you could, like, chat about that. Like, what is your experience with that around women either being here and in their body, or kind of being up here, and the difference either between how that sounds and how people receive that?
Yeah, there's so many different levels and angles I can come at from that, because there's so much going on. So I'm just going to pull up the things that just came up to me then. So one of them is that quite often, so if we're going to go with it, I use, so Shakespeare says that all the world is a stage and men and women merely players, blah, 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 blah. So I like to flip it the other way around, and I say that actually the stage is a microcosm of the macrocosm of life. So what we experience on stage is actually a very condensed and magnified version of what we're actually doing in everyday life all the time. So when I'm talking about being on stage, I'm always talking about life. So that moment when we're on stage and the audience is watching us, we feel like we are being looked at and seen, and the mind comes in, and we're like, oh my God, do they like me? Do I look okay? What do I do with my hands? Do I just put them up here like natural? All this stuff that happens in our brain, it's constantly going on. The problem with that dialogue, because what we're doing in that moment is we're having a conversation with ourselves. We're dialoguing with ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, when someone is completely dropped in, when you're sat in the audience and you watch somebody and everything else in the world melts away, and all you see is them, and all you know is the story that they're telling, what's happening in that moment is that they are letting dialogue happen through them, right? They are letting whatever it is that needs to come through, whether that is a dance, whether that is words and poetry, whether that is music, whether that is information, it is something that needs to come through and come out. And for that to happen, you cannot be busy dialoguing with yourself, because there's no space for that dialogue to happen. There's absolutely no space for it, because we're too busy filling it up here. And it's like, hello, can I get in? How can I, okay, I'll just wait up here until you're ready, and the audience at the other end is like, I feel like there's something there's a block going on. I can't quite see what's happening. So there's disconnect happening all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things. Another thing that I think, especially as women, that we have to look at is quite often when we go to speak, we auto flip into nice, nice girl. Okay, and what nice girl sounds like is this. Hi, yeah, So I'm really excited to be here and talking to you today. If you listen to the radio, you'll notice that all the ladies on the Australian radio, they all sound like this. They're all talking really up here, and they're very excited, and their eyebrows are probably up here, and their shoulders might be up here. And you go to all these conferences, and the ladies are like, hi everybody, it's wonderful to see you. Now this place up here that we will speak from, excuse my slightly obtuse Australian impersonation there.
I love it.
But this, what happens there is we bring our voice up, and the nice girl speaks from up here. The reason the nice girl, our inner nice girl, speaks from up here is that this is the place of fear. This is where fear speaks from. Now, the reason we play nice is because if you are not seen as nice, you are burned at the stake. Right?
Yeah.
That is what happened. My whole body just like lit up tingles when I said that.
Yeah.
That is what happened in the past. When we were not nice, if anybody didn't like us, we could get burned at the stake quite literally. And so we go into nice. So if anyone's going to watch us, we've got to make sure that we keep up appearances, because we don't want to be seen as hysterical or as the bitch or the slut or whatever the story is. So we have to come up here. Now, this place here is not embodied. It's not strong. And it's not in the same way, because we're not connected to ourselves. So we might even be saying something that's very true. So, for example, with the Speak Up program they do, often women will write poetry that is like angry poetry. And it's like, they'll say something like, oh, I hope I can swear. I'm going to be swearing a lot. Just
good, swear. So, please do.
Swear, great. So they'll do something like this, and I'll be like, I am so angry at you right now that I just, fuck you for doing what you do. And they'll be smiling. And again, the eyebrows up. They'll probably be leaning forward slightly. And they'll be up in a nice voice. Now, even when saying this stuff that we need to say, like no, like saying the word no and saying the word fuck you and saying the word stop and all this stuff, it comes from up here, because to say it from down here, that risks something bigger than the self. That is like I could get burned. We've got lifetimes, generations of reasons why we shouldn't speak from down here. But actually, we need to speak from down here, because things won't change. Things don't change if we don't speak from down here. The difference of someone going fuck you and fuck you is very different. And we very often go up, very easily go up. So whenever there's a heightened emotions, there's fear, there's anger, all this stuff brings it up here. And the big difference is when we can drop it down. And I think that is, and the difference between the two is this one here pisses people off and like maybe like makes people kind of laugh at you, or maybe kind of makes you more angry and more emotional, and it stays up here. This one down here changes the world. When we speak from down here, like matter shifts, and that is powerful. And the reason that women were burned at the stake for speaking from down here, from saying stuff from down here, from making their choices in life from down here, is because it was powerful. Yeah. And that power is petrifying. Yeah. Yeah. And so that is why we need to drop back down.
Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, I love what you're saying, and to me it's like this is the connection between being like down here, being like dropping into our womb, and of course our pussy, our cunt, whatever you want to call it. I notice, and like there was a moment there where you said about like people saying their no or their fuck you, and the difference in that. And I feel like that's something for women on all levels, whether they ever want to speak publicly or whether they want to be silent, who cares? But like the no is something that's just so important, and it's something that I've played with friends and with clients. And it's like even this week I had my housemate saying, I don't understand when I say no to men, they keep coming towards me. And I was like, well, say no to me now. And she said no in exactly this way you're saying, this nice girl, like no. And actually the energy that came with it was I was more drawn to her rather than pushed away with the no. And it was, as soon as I said to me, give it to me from your womb, and she said no, it was like, oh, that's clear. So I'm loving this piece is like, okay. And so what's like something that you could share now that you guide women into how do we come from down here? Like obviously, like for me, I had this understanding of the womb, but like a lot of women don't. So what's a piece that they can use easily to drop in? That's obviously, I mean, I know this is something that you would spend a lot of time coaching women through, but
I think a big part of it is understanding what no means. Okay. And when we understand what no means, we're a lot less afraid of saying it. So firstly, no isn't no, no is yes. No is yes to ourselves. And I think that is a big thing that we say. When we say no to something else, we're actually saying yes to ourselves, to looking after ourselves, to being in our own power and owning our own boundaries and owning what we need and what we want in this world. And we have been told that saying no is us being weak-willed, or us being like difficult, or like what's the term, like leading people on, like if like on sexually, for example, if I was to, what's the term, like a cock tease, right? We're being a tease. If at any point if we've been saying no, yes to a certain point, and then we start saying no, then we're being a cock tease. But actually, the moment we say no, we're saying yes to ourselves.
I love that.
And we have been martyrs. Women have been martyrs. We martyr our truths and our needs and our wants so much that we lose our sense of self, and actually the power of remembering that no is yes to self. And actually you are not only completely allowed to say yes to yourself, but the world needs you to say yes to yourself is a completely different story. Oof. The other thing with no is that, what was the other thing? Try and bring it back in again, because I had the two strands. I don't know what the other one was. Maybe that was just the one that needed to come.
Must be.
The no. Yeah, before you speak it, know that what you're actually saying isn't just no, it's yes to you. Yeah.
Do you know, that's actually the first time I've ever heard someone say that. And like, I can't tell you how many, like in the Tantra world, how many, you know, boundaries and consent workshops I've been to, and so many different things. It's the first time I've ever heard someone put the wording like that, of like, no is a yes. I'm like, that to me is really fucking powerful. And
actually the other thing, when you frame it the other way, that not saying no truly, or saying yes when you mean to say no, is actually saying no to yourself. It's actually saying yes to accepting more of what you don't want in your life.
Oh my God. Okay. That's like that's been such a light bulb moment for me. So hopefully also for some other women. I love it. Like, it's fully, there's the comments here of the women are really like, you know, love it, resonating, shivers. Yes. So it's like they're fully feeling you and understanding it and with you on this. I actually want to say to the women on as well, if you have anything that you want to ask, please comment, and I'll ask that as a question. Otherwise I'm just going to keep on like firing away with questions, and I can feel, as I call it, like Fleassy's channel is open and she's just bringing exactly what's ready to come through to this space. So, but yeah, if you've got something specific that you want to know, please do ask that. Just before we jumped on the call, we were kind of talking about like different ways that our work relates to each other. And one of the pieces that I mentioned was that I work with the womb gates, and you also mentioned that you also understand that there's a similar process going through, like kind of the lips and the mouth and the whatever connecting in. And what I would love to know from you is like your experience of that, and also your experience of how that does connect, like of how the yoni, the pussy, the womb, the cunt, all of it connects into our ability to express in all ways.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I'm going to first prefix this by saying that I don't personally believe that to be a woman you must have a womb or a cunt.
No, thank you.
So
Good,
I'm going to lay that out there. But for
great.
me, with my body and my personal experience of what it is to connect my voice to the genitals that I have is the when I let my words, and the reason is this particular part of the body, no matter what body you have, is that this place down here is the seat of our primal desire. This is our primal wants, our primal needs, our primal creativity. It is the place where that core drive to create comes from, and the core drive to survive, and the core drive to, you know, to do all of that stuff comes from that lower part of our body, this base part of us. And so when we speak from that place, it's coming from that ancient primal place. You know, it's coming from that strength, that rootedness, that groundedness. And when I speak, so courage, I'm going to flip what I'm saying a little bit here. I work a lot with the concept of courage based on what Brené Brown defines courage to be. So if you don't know you probably all know who Brené Brown is. I'm just going to summarize who she is for those who might not know who she is. And she is the leading researcher in shame and vulnerability. And she basically researched and redefined the word courage based from its etymology, which is cur, which means heart in Latin. So the word courage comes from cur. So courage is to tell the story of yourself with your whole heart. And then you take the word heart, and heart means not just the pulsing, beating part of my body, but heart of a situation is the core. The core of something is the heart. So to tell the story of myself with my core, I have to know my core. I have to be prepared to touch my core and to go in there and to understand what it is my core is and what it wants to say. And then I can speak from that place. Mm-hmm. And then I know that what I'm saying out here is integrity with what is going on down here. And when we speak from integrity, the whole world can feel it.
Mm.
It's a full connection. It's a full, everything lines up and everybody can feel that. And that is different when I say something that is out of integrity. And I do say things that are out of integrity a lot because I'm a human. And it feels like it's this concept of I'm out of a line, right? And that's that feeling. I'm out of line, I'm out of alignment. Something in me is not in place. And so I think that when we actually allow ourselves to drop in with this core part of ourselves, the primal part of ourselves, that we can actually start to tap in with that deep, what our deep needs and wants are, and what actually feels in integrity with us, and speak from that place. It also has depth when we speak from there. So when we speak from up here, it's a very ungrounded place. Like I said, it's a place of fear. It's a reactionary place to speak from. Whereas down here is not a reactionary place to speak from. It is a grounded and very deep place to speak from.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, and thank you for pointing out, like, yes, not every woman needs to have like a womb or even a pussy. And it's like, it's interesting. Like my angle on that is that I feel like every single person has an energetic womb, an energetic pussy, energetic balls and cock as well. So it's like a different way of seeing it. And so I really love you for kind of catching me on that.
Incredible etheric penis.
I bet you do. I can feel it from here.
I love a lot.
Excellent. Yeah. Which is, so what, like, it's interesting for me, if I want to drop in, I'm either, depending on where I'm coming from, I'm either trying to drop into my womb or my energetic balls, I guess, to drop me down. What I'm intrigued with, because I'm sure you'll come at it from a different angle, when you say like to be coming from down here, how do you feel in your body or know the difference in yourself? Like, sometimes we can't actually hear our own voice. So it's like we can't even hear that we're kind of like up here. I wonder for you, like what that is, or how you would guide someone to drop down into their body.
I mean, we can all try it together right now. We can try something right now.
Let's do it.
Just say no. Just say the word no.
No.
Okay. Now close your eyes, and I hope all the other women at home can try this.
They should totally be closing their eyes and doing it as well.
Yeah. So close your eyes now, and I want you to breathe yourself down into the lowest parts of your body, into the lower parts of your stomach. And as you breathe out, just drop down into it. Just drop down. And I want you to feel a place in your life that deserves a no from you, where you deserve a yes.
Oh.
And you feel it seed itself there. And then slowly breathe it, let it grow, let it spread out from that part of your body. So every breath you take, let that no grow up. So it starts to fill your body. And let it spread right up until it is literally behind your mouth, until every part of you is filled with this no. And then you take a deep breath and you open your eyes and you say no.
No. Oh.
No.
No. Wow, I can feel the difference in that.
And it is like that is a strong place to say no from.
Oh. Yeah.
And it's the same with I love you. It's exactly the same with I love you. It's exactly the same with yes. It's exactly the same with anything that we want to say. All the theological ways that we can notice when we're not down there. But if you wanted an actual drop-in sensation, a drop-in way of doing it, it is you close your eyes, you feel the feeling behind what it is you want to say and where it sits in your body, and you fill your body from that place, and then you speak it.
That's epic. We just got like a million love hearts came across the screen.
Really?
Yeah, the whole screen just flooded with love hearts. So I'm like, that obviously worked. Which, whilst we're seeing the love hearts, I'm going to check in on what like kind of questions we're getting in. So I'm just going to like read what they are, and then we can kind of figure out if there's any similar. So Amelia's asking, tell me more about expressing anger. Deborah's asking, my question was how to drop into my feminine more, and this is a conversation that I actually needed. So, okay, so how to drop into her feminine more. Oh, cool, actually. And she said I needed to hear examples. So that's, I think we've pretty much just given her the examples, which is great. Let's cover the anger and the feminine piece, because then Arcadia is asking, the circular muscles of the vagina, groin are the same as the circular. Oh, she's commenting, yeah, are the same as the circular muscles of the mouth and the eyes. I didn't know about the eyes, but I definitely knew about of the vagina being the same as the mouth.
Around the thyroid and the larynx is also very energetically connected to the cervix.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's a lot of different traditions all over the world that see those links between those two places. And I was actually saying to you before we started this call about when I was giving birth, the moment that I let my voice come up in labor to up here, like everything in my body tensed, and it got a lot harder. But actually through dropping my voice down and howling, and I got my partner, he kept dropping my voice down. Every time he heard it rise, he would drop it down. I would like, and bringing it down. I can't even do it when I'm not in labor, how low it goes. And it opened up, and I had a 4-hour labor, so that's like, and I don't think that's necessarily down specifically to that, but I'm damn sure it helped the capacity to drop my voice. And from the moment labor started, I was chanting low songs, low voice stuff. And I think it's very connected to that point when our throat is linked. And this goes to, again, this will link in with the anger stuff actually, and it will link in with what I was just saying with that when we let our voice comes up here, the whole body tenses. Okay, every single part of the come up here. It is because it light freeze position. Right now, when I'm going to link to the anger, can I link into the anger now? Is that cool? I just take us there.
Take us there.
So anger, take us there. So anger's a big one. I'm not going to say that I'm the master of expressing anger. But I do make a damn good crack at it. And I do it in all different ways. And it's actually all this work that I'm talking about now is from witnessing myself. I've been on stage for over 20 years, and it's from witnessing myself and my battle with my own self-worth in front of other people that's got me to this place. So with anger's a secondary emotion for a start. That's not saying that it has no worth, but remembering that it is a secondary place of emotion. That there is usually something behind anger that causes the anger to come. So, but again, when we get angry, what happens generally is the heart rate goes up. This is what I notice in myself. My heart rate goes up. My brain usually scatters or gets very fixated on something. So it comes around that one thing. My body tenses, my shoulders come up, my eyebrows go up, and I get like, this thing, this stuff. Again, that means your voice comes from up here. Now, if you want to express something that's angry, expressing it from up here is the same. Actually help shift anything that much at all. But actually when we can drop down to this part, I feel like if we let our anger drop down, it may even, for me, it often surpasses the anger and hits back into the core of what's going on for me, and helps me speak what it is I want to say, what it is that I'm angry about, with a lot more presence, which makes a lot more impact. That doesn't mean you don't express that anger, because I do still express that anger, but it's about doing it. It helps me drop into a much more impactful and grounded way of sharing what's behind that anger, which helps move it and shift it really. And again, if you're the kind of person, like some people like to do like anger expression stuff. And again, like leaning a mattress against the wall and like fucking pounding it when you're angry or whatever. Doing that with the low voice, with the full body, like feeling it in your whole body rather than just in this top half of your body. Try and really engage your whole body. When I say engage, it's kind of like doing yoga. There's that difference between an engaged and a disengaged yoga position. So I know when I'm engaging my body in yoga, when I'm kind of just being a bit slack with it and just letting it happen, because I can feel every single part of my body. And it's the same if we're in that, like really let it sit in your thighs, let the anger sit in your knees and in your calves, and feel it in your toes, and feel it in your fingertips, and feel it in your spine, and let it all be there in your whole body. So it's not just coming from this one place here, because then it's tense. That's my personal feeling.
Yeah, awesome. Because that's pretty much from where I come at it is really quite similar. And it's just, I guess, because my work's with womb, I'm like drop down into womb or balls, and that's where you feel it. And it's like same thing. It's like, just dropping it right down and really feeling it in the lower parts of the body. And I really noticed that in a lot of the work that I do is also guiding women into actually moving that emotion. And it's like, you can tell if they come up in here, the emotion stops. It kind of stops moving, and they get stuck in it. It's like if you drop it right down, it'll either kind of dissipate, or you'll find the piece. Often it drops then into like the tears or whatever's actually really there, the grief or the sorrow, more than the attacking anger, which kind of comes up in here.
And I know it because I know I see. I do it a lot myself. I come up here when I feel angry, and when I come up here, I think it's really good to remember that those of us who are kind of guiding this work, we're not perfect. We're still dealing. Like, I know this work because I've experienced it every single fucking day of my life, and so there are a lot of people in my life who I can keep dropped down with, but then there's like certain people in my life. An ex of mine specifically, like that I go straight into this trauma response, and it's all up here, and my brain scatters, and it's all that same place up here. And the more it happens, and the more I'm beginning to let myself become a witness to myself in those moments, the more I can notice what's going on physiologically in my body, and then I can remember to drop it back down again. And it actually really helps me to center and to not be so reactive and so easily affected by that stuff.
Yeah, cool. I actually have this real feeling that I kind of want to flip us a little bit into, like, you were speaking about the piece right at the beginning about the world as a stage, but I can't remember it, but you flipped it a different way. And I really enjoyed a piece that you shared there, because in the last few years, yes, I speak publicly and on stage and stuff, but before I really didn't. And I thought that was a skill that you would only ever learn if you were going to go on stage. Like, I thought you would only ever learn how to express properly, or how to really, be in your body and allow the audience to hear you and feel you if you're going to be on stage. And it's like, I'm loving that you're like, with like even yourself is the audience, or the one person in front of you is that. And so it can be everywhere. And also from seeing you on stage and sharing your erotic poetry as well, it's like, I would love you to share, how does that happen? What's the difference between if I was just to have a conversation with someone, and if I was to have a conversation with them as if like, hey, like, you're my audience, I'm on stage with you, I'm really sharing this piece and I want you to feel it.
So I think it's actually the opposite way around. It's rather than seeing them as your audience, it's remembering that everyone's already your audience, so no one is your audience. Everyone is and isn't your audience at the same time. But when I'm up there, if I'm up there on stage and I see myself as a performer and them as the audience, and I'm on the stage and they're there to watch me, and there's a power dynamic, that everything in me freezes, then I play into that story. Whereas when I remember that every single person, and so I'm going to tell you some of my stuff, some of the shit that goes on for me when I'm up there, right?
Awesome.
So I carry this story of that we have this term in England called blagging. So I don't know what the Australian version of it is, but to blag something. So for example, it's kind of lying. It's not lying. It's kind of like, if I wanted to get into a nightclub, I'd turn up and be like, oh yeah, I know the guy inside. Yeah. And you chat your way and get your way in there, right? So I have this fear that it'll one day be found out that I'm blagging my way through life, that I'm blagging my way through all this stuff. And actually one day someone's going to find out I'm a fraud. The other story is that I am actually just is a big word, just a silly little hippie street rat. and no one's going to want to hear what I have to say. No one, and I'm not worthy of moving in circles of people that aren't just incredibly impoverished and incredibly like involved within the small hippie world people. Okay, so they're my two stories that I get. So when I get invited to conferences, for example, I got invited to speak at a award ceremony a couple of years ago at the racecourse in Melbourne, and I turned up, and the audience everyone was in formal wear, and everyone was sat around round tables, and there was champagne, and there were people there from like, you know, corporates and estate agents and stuff. And I basically, like, put it this way, I before I went there, I had to text my friend with photographs of the 3 different pairs of shoes I had. One was a pair of big leather, like hiking boots. One was a pair of unicorn-shaped kicks that light up and sparkle as you walk, and the other one was a pair of gold teddy bear shoes with giant teddy bear heads on the front. And I was like, awesome. Which one do I wear? And she was like, well, the gold teddy bears, because gold is classy, right? So I was there in this black evening dress with gold teddy bear Adidas kicks on. So I'm there going like, I'm such a fraud. I do not deserve to be in this space. Look at all these men, like, pedestaling them as the audience and as their story of how I place them as corporates against myself. And then I got up there and I stood behind the plinth thing. And I looked out at them, and I remembered that every single one of those people has cried at some point recently, has felt heartbreak, has felt lost. Most of them feel alone. Most of them feel like there's something inside them that isn't right, that isn't lovable, that isn't wanted. They all have something that they're passionate about, even if they're not even sure what that is. That they all hunger for something. They all shit. They all sneeze. It's all this stuff, you know. And I remember that they're all just me. It's all just me. They're all just me in different forms, in different shapes, in different bodies, with different experiences having gone on in their lives, but we're all the same thing. And speaking to them is no different to me speaking to you right now. Me speaking to you right now is no different to me having a conversation with one of my friends. And when I can remember that, suddenly all the power dynamics that I put on myself in that scenario don't exist anymore. And actually remembering that I've created those power dynamics, so I can actually choose to create a different dynamic for myself.
Yeah.
One that leads to connection, not one that leads to disconnection.
I really love that, like, when you speak of the power piece, it's almost like the way you express it is the opposite to what I feel. Like, I get concerned that I have the power when I speak, and it's like you're kind of expressing like and I also feel it's like I don't want there to be any of that power play either. It's like, but
so that plays. Can I tell you the story that comes with that I know
please,
that I've seen? Okay, so
please.
The big story that comes to that is who am I to impose myself on these people? Who am I to impose my voice on these people? And who am I to manipulate? Right? There's a big fear in our world around manipulation.
Yeah.
Now manipulation is seen as a negative thing to do. I am a master of manipulation. It's what I do. If you're going to ask me what my one trade is, it's manipulation. As a storyteller, you cannot be a storyteller if you do not know how to manipulate your audience. Because how are you going to take them on a journey? How are you going to make them feel anything? How are you going to make them see anything? You don't go to a movie and at the end of the movie, you know, we've been taken on this big emotional journey and it's got to the very end, and at the very end, suddenly the director's face comes out and goes, sorry guys, sorry about that. I really hope you make it home okay. I just don't take it too personally, all right? Just, yes, sorry about that. No, what you see Russell Crowe, bah, 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 bah. Steven Spielberg, bah, 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 bah. And then, like, you know, like the names of the person who painted the toenails of the fifth order to the right. You know, like everyone is like, I was involved in this. You know, we're proud of the fact that we were able to captivate and manipulate an audience. However, one on stage, we tell a different story to ourselves that we shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But actually, if you're going to use it, like manipulation is a gift, it is a skill, and we can use it to destroy and we can use it to create. And how we choose to use it is our choice. And from a very young age, I was told that story that a lot of women get of like, stop being the center of attention all the time. Oh yeah, here she comes, trying to get all the attention. And what that is that is a skill that we have. If we are one of those girls that are able to do that, then we have a skill. And we get told that it is something to be ashamed of, rather than being told, hey, what you have is an amazing skill. Let's train you up on how to use it in a way that can actually change the world positively. And that's what I want to do.
Fuck, that's powerful. Well, that feels like that is what you do, right?
Apparently so. That's good.
It's not like what you want to do. It's like, yeah, that's like what you do.
Yeah, it's what I do. It's what I want to keep doing. It's what I want to do.
Yeah. I feel like that's just such incredibly important work, because I see, so one of the pieces that I see is women fighting for like this rise of the divine feminine thing, right? And what I feel is like my own perception on a lot of that is it's coming from a place of wounding to then try and get a power piece back. And part of what you're sharing here about being able to help people to just come to their authentic place, right? And come to their piece where they step into exactly who they are. That to me is the piece that I feel like people are hungry for, but are almost searching for in different places, if that makes sense.
So I think one of the things people often ask me is, okay, so what if I stood up there and said something and then someone in the audience said this to me back, like didn't like it, or like I pissed somebody off or whatever. And my response is, if I have shown up as myself with as much integrity as I could muster in that moment and know that I gave my gift as well as I could, then I've done my bit. You know, I've done everything I could in that moment to do to do my half in that scenario. If the person in the audience doesn't want to hear me, doesn't want to see that, or wants to twist the story to do their own thing, that's theirs. That's their responsibility. That's how they want to show up in the moment. My role, my only role in life, is to make sure that I show up with as much courage as I can. And that is to tell the story of myself as fully as I can in this world. And I tell the story of myself in every single way, not just with the words I use, not just with the actual story that I tell, but with how where I shop, what I invest my money into, the way I choose to treat people, the way I choose to treat myself, the way I choose to eat, the way I choose to dress, who I surround myself with. Yeah. All these things are how I am telling the story of myself in my life. And so whether or not, and I think that a lot of the ways that we are trying to heal our wounding is to see it in how other people respond to us and how we show up in the world. And actually, like, I'm good. I really, the only person I can control is myself, and I can barely control that. We don't have that much control at all. So like trying to invest all my energy in how much I can control what happens to the other people is just a bit of a waste of time, really. I can invest in how much I show up. And what I believe happens then is when I show up with a passionate, powerful, vulnerable, honest voice, when I do that, it gives permission to others to do the same. And that is where the change happens. That is when the revolution happens.
Yeah. 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 I had a piece, but I've lost it, and I'm going to read Arcadia's thing. The piece that I had is what I feel in you as it goes, which I'm really loving, is it goes beyond anyone trying to step into, like I said, with women in particular, because that's who I work with more than I work with men, is the piece where I feel like they're looking for the divine feminine thing. And I think it's got nothing to do with the divine feminine thing at all. I think it actually just has to do with being who the fuck you are, like feminine or masculine, or all of the whole lot intertwined into each other. Who actually cares which combination of that you are? It's like being in integrity with you and with yourself. And like, that's exactly the way I felt you share it, is it's like, it's just being in integrity and sharing that
who you
are in that moment.
Do you fully can, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, with this concept of divine femininity, I mean, like, what is divine feminineness? What is it really? I mean, you go to a lot of the ancient cultures, there's not just one goddess.
Mm.
And it's because there's no such thing as the one divine feminine. There's like there's the goddess for I'm pissed off. There's the goddess for I'm falling in love. There's the goddess for I'm fucking confused. Can someone help me out with my finances? You know, there's a goddess for every single bit of it.
Yeah.
That's because the divine feminine is every single facet of human being. And that's what Mother Tongue is about. Like, the reason that we run Mother Tongue is it's a platform for every single facet of what it is to be woman to be shared.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of facets. That's a lot of facets. And
So many.
All is worthy of being shown.
So many. Actually, I'm excited at some point to try and get to your Mother Tongue. It's in Melbourne, is that right?
It's in Melbourne, yeah.
When? Tell me when, so that next time I'm in Melbourne I can come.
It's the second Friday of every month. So the next one's this Friday coming,
okay.
Which you probably won't make. But,
no.
But it's the second Friday of every month, and we do it currently at Pulse in Brunswick.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, it's totally like, when I ran the first one, I ran it alongside Vanessa Florence, who runs Dancing Eros. And I'd only been in Melbourne like for 2 weeks, and I expected maybe 10 people. We had a venue for about 30, usually about 30 people in the venue. We had 75 people squished into that venue.
Woo!
It was designed as a one-off event. And at the end of the event, so many people came up to us going, when's the next one? And we were like, next month. And it's been running monthly for 5 years since then. And that to me shows how much it is needed. It's not just the platform for the women to speak, but the safety of the community that gets created of people who are willing to hear you and willing to see you, and what it is to see ourselves on stage, to see somebody else up there that reminds us of ourselves and reminds us that we are worthy of telling our story too.
Yeah.
My dream, like a dream of mine that sometimes is an active dream and sometimes it's a dormant dream, but it's a dream to see Mother Tongue existing in 50 locations around the world doing this for women.
Awesome.
What would the world be like if Mother Tongue was a household name where people would go there because they need to connect back in?
Yes, do that. Make it be everywhere. It could be everywhere. But seeing as it's not right now, anyone who's in Melbourne should be going to it. So whoever's in Melbourne watching this, can you go and then tell me about it so I feel like I was there? And next time
if you want to bring it to where you are, you send me a message and we'll see how we can make that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you need to get that out to more places. Oh, I'm just going to fly. That's very bizarre. So I want to read something that Arcadia has just written. Other than my period is synced with Mother Tongue for the past 2 years. Well, I like that. That's very cool. She's obviously a follower. But then what did she say here? My Leo queen demanding attention got so ridiculed in my mind through life. How to move past that. That is, yeah.
The demanding of attention. So this term of demanding for attention kind of is what's piquing me in that. So there's two parts of it. There's the, who is anybody to shame you for shining? Okay. So if it's just that you are shining and you are shining yourself brightly out there in the world and people are shaming you for that, that's bullshit. You should shine. Now, if we are demanding attention to fill holes in ourselves because we don't want to look at those holes, that's different. Yeah. And so, for example, I see that I'm giving all my secrets away tonight. Here we go.
Are you?
So there's three places that we speak from. There's three positions that we speak from. There's the front position, which is when like, hi everybody, how you doing? It's, oh my God, it's often very fast, or like we're leaning forwards, and often I'm just very happy. I'm very, very happy, or I'm very aggressive and I'm pushing myself forwards like this, filling space, I'm filling time, I'm big. Okay. And then we have and that's a very, very extreme version of it. They don't always go that big. The back position is this one where I'm just actually quite a shy, and I'm just a shy person really. When we talk like this, maybe we'll have conversations, but we don't get eye contact because that's quite confronting, really, isn't it? Eye contact don't want to be confronting, or we just don't show up. We don't leave the house. And different times in my life, I speak from front or back position. Now, the third position that we can speak from is the central position, and that is the one where we strip, because basically the front position and the back position are masks, or they are ways of hiding central position. Sometimes the only moment I get in central position is that moment between my dream ending and my first thought happening in a day, because I go straight into one of those positions to protect myself from myself or from anything else in the world, right? And there are times I'm in central position all day, every day, It depends on my feeling, on what's going on for me. Now, for me, if I am speaking from my central position and I am shining and people are shaming me, that's their story. If I'm speaking from front position or back position, and someone points, something, people are shaming me, again, it's not okay to shame people. But B, maybe there's something that I need to hear in that about myself. And maybe I need to do some inquiry into why I'm demanding attention. Why am I hungering for it in a way that is, because it's off center. There's an uncenteredness to it. You know, we're leaning back or leaning forward and you can just be pushed over at the easiest. So there's a big difference between shining ourselves out and that being a very attractive feature and that attracts attention, and just being ourselves fully and how incredibly inspiring, uplifting that can be, and crawling and grasping for attention, whether that's grasping for attention like this, like I really hope somebody sees me that I'm looking sad because I really like some attention right now, which I've lived in a lot in my life. Or this one forwards here of like, I'm just, hi, I'm Fleassy. Hi. I remember when I first started college, my first day at college, I wore purple head to toe. I had purple hair. And I went around and introduced myself. I ran to every single group of people and introduced myself as bubbly and as excitedly as I could, and told everybody who I was and what I was and why I existed in this world, and bounded off to the next group, you know. And that was me really wanting to be loved and wanting to control how other people saw me. You know, I need to know that I've already filled in their opinion of me before they can create it of me. So it also doesn't work well for me because I suffer from something called prosopagnosia, which means face blindness, which meant then I had introduced myself to everybody. Everybody knew who I was. I didn't have a fucking clue who anybody else was because I just had anyone's faces, which is the flip side of the story.
Oh, right. That's confronting. Oh dear. I love that though. I love the front and from center and back. That's quite interesting, and the different ways you've explained that. I've just noticed Arcadia's asked, can you speak closer to the mic? I think though she might have put that whilst you were doing the back part.
Okay.
So I think you were kind of further away from the microphone during that little part. Now she's saying awesome description. Thank you. What I would really, really love, would you share some of your erotic poetry with us?
Some of my erotic stuff specifically, or would you? Because actually, I don't just do erotic poetry. I do lots of different types of poetry.
Well, maybe you can share two.
Have you heard I can share 2 poems. All right, I can share 2 poems. I'll share. You really want an erotic poem?
I want all the things.
You want an erotic poem? You get an erotic poem.
Yay.
All right, let me think of one that I can think of in my head. Is there one specifically that you remember that stood out to you, or do you just remember the feeling? Great. Okay. Got to do an erotic poem whilst being just so everybody knows, I'm currently in the house of my lover's dad, who doesn't know I am their lover, because there's 2 of them. And he's also in the house, and I don't think erotic poetry is really his comfort zone. So I'm going to do erotic poetry with awareness of my space.
Yes, perfect.
I rise. My spine arched, I searched the dark for the glimmer in your eye. We entwined. Your sweat, my thighs all wet, all grind. I pant, gently humming the song of my arousal. You grunting, we sing out of tune, out of time, but who gives a fuck? Because right now, the only beat I can hear is the pounding of my heart, matched with the pounding of the bed, matched with the pounding of pelvis into pelvis, the pounding of pleasure into pain, into pain, into pain, into ecstatic pain, into pleasure again. My nails, your back, my skin, your teeth, we grit and bone, we course and groan, words slipping from my mouth, words my feminist resists, but words that slip so easily out. fuck me. I am screaming. Your grunting now strangely appealing. We bulge and contract, appear and react until puddles form around me when succulence surrounds me. I am only me. I am no longer me. I burst inwards, cave outwards, and fall back upon the pillow. Strangely quiet now. Strangely tired now. Your limbs grow tree-like around me. We fold in together, and darkness prevails.
Thank you for sharing that. I noticed at one point I was like holding my breath. I'm like, like, oh, you're allowed to breathe. It's okay.
That should be like a daily mantra.
Yes. Yeah, that's like the best bedtime story I've ever had.
Oh, good. I'm glad. It's actually how my book came about. I did one gig. I got called up for a gig, and she was like, "Hi, Fleassy, do you do erotic poetry?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And she's like, "Good. I'll see you in 2 days' time." And she put the phone down. And I was like, "I don't have any erotic poetry." So I wrote a whole set of erotic poetry in one night. I had that night my toddler wouldn't sleep, so it was the next night, and I basically lit some candles and poured myself a glass of kombucha and sat down in a romantic kind of setting and wrote myself a whole set of poetry, performed it the next night, came back from the gig, sat down on Facebook Live and just redid the whole set again on Facebook Live. And so many responses of people going, "You need to write a book of this. This is amazing. Oh my God." So I wrote a book.
That's awesome. Wow. Thank you to the person who rang you and said, "Do you do erotic poetry?"
Yeah.
I think we're all thankful for that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think that is like a really beautiful spot to wrap it up. I've so enjoyed chatting to you. I could like keep chatting for hours, but it's just the hour. I really, really love chatting to you, and I really enjoy, like I said, feeling you. Like there's this real centeredness about you and this real ease that's very easy to talk to, but also I can imagine out of, this space. I don't kind of know you out of this space, but I can imagine is a way for people to just naturally drop into feeling safe to be authentically themselves with you, which is just such a beautiful gift. So I'd really like to acknowledge that in you, and thank you so much for being in this space with us. I'm sure there's lots of thank yous from the women coming through as well. So yeah, thank you so much. Really, really grateful, and look forward to seeing you again or speaking to you again somewhere. And any of the women who are watching this, if you're loving Fleassy, you need to add her on Facebook and message her and ask her about all the really awesome stuff she does. She does some really cool programs, and of course she's got her book of poetry and other really cool stuff, so you should totally add her and get to know her.
Yep. If you want to rise your voice, come speak to me and we'll find a way to get it out there.
All women should be doing that. Totally, all women need to do that. So, thank you for being you. Thank you for being awesome.
Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. What a great gift it is to be able to talk about the things I'm passionate about. So thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Yay. Good night, and good night, women. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
See you. Okay, I've ended the live. Yep, I've ended the live. Cool. Thank you so much. That was.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're epic. That's great. I feel really good about that. I recorded that. Let me just stop recording.